It's not so. They're going to have to hire more people, they're going to have to hire more machines, and the expense goes to the county. And once the county, people in the county find out that the expense is going to them and not the people basically of Jersey City, it's wrong. This should not be, this is a shame that this was put on a couple of days after we had a municipal election, of which only, what, 12,000 or 15,000 people voted out of 139,000, and they're going to shove this down our throats? It's wrong.
If they cared, they would have came out to vote.
Why should they come out to vote? People
One at a time, one at a time.
People are just disgusted with the
One at a
whole
time.
system and process.
Councilperson Osborne?
I guess I disagree. I think that for me it's a turnout issue, and this would move our election to be the same time as the gubernatorial election, which means that more people would win 100,000% more people would participate in the process. And if 2-year-olds can use an iPad, then we can figure out how to better design our ballots so that they're clear to understand. The fact that maybe the way the ballots are written now aren't clear is a totally separate issue, and it's a resolvable issue. Again, if 2-year-olds can use an iPad, we can figure out how to make a ballot clear. I think it's a clear.
There's a lot of,
Councilperson Coleman, then Councilperson.
I remember this came, and I thought we all agreed that if the voters voted on it, then that would give us the right and the reason and the comfort to approve it, because the voters voted on it. So I think that's what we did in the
Not all of us
first
agree.
place, right? Isn't that what we did? That's why we went out.
But that's what we
right?
did, yes.
Okay.
4% of the people are not the voters.
They should have
It
came out
was
to
not
vote.
it was not publicized. Most people, you know, you're talking about 50%, almost 50%.
I'm shocked, because you're the person who convinced me over a year ago that this was the right.
Until I found out.
One at a time, one at a time.
Look, training.
Yeah,
That's
Councilperson
the right
Gajewski.
way to go.
Do you want to be campaigning in a runoff in November around Thanksgiving and Christmas?
That's what I
was
had
on
to
the
do.
table a
I
year
heard the
ago,
same thing.
and we discussed this, and you said it was the right way to go.
In the beginning,
Now-
until I
now we
found
change-
out,
now
no.
we change our mind.
I said in the beginning, I
No,
thought it probably was a
you were
good idea.
adamant, because we had the discussion in your office about it, and you were the one that convinced me it was the right way to go. Now it's not the right way.
No, Fran.
No, it is.
Yeah,
Come on, let's
until you
be-
analyze the whole thing, we never talked about a runoff, and I never
This has
realized.
nothing to do with the runoff.
Yes, it does, because if the election's in November, let's say you and I are running in Hart, and the 2 top people have to run again, now you got a campaign around Thanksgiving, around Christmas, that's all holiday.
I had to do that in 2012. I don't know what you're talking about.
Well,
I had
there's
to
no
do that
that's
in
you, you're talking about.
There was no runoff.
Oh, that's right, that was
And I was also
2013.
2011 in November.
2013, that's
Yeah,
right.
Franny. And then also, it's
Sorry.
4% of the people came out. If 50% of the people came out out of the 139,000 people that are registered, I'd say fine, that's what the people want, the hell with it. But that's not what happened.
They didn't want to come out, so everybody, their vote was.
Okay, one at a time, one at a time. Councilperson Waterman?
They didn't come out, what do you want us to do?
Councilperson Waterman?
Rich,
Right.
last time you agreed. You
Yes.
said whatever the people said.
That's what you said.
Yeah, but 4% came out.
But
It's
so
not-
what? You can't make
You
them
can't
force
force
if they don't
people
want
to.
to.
All right, I'm
You
just
can't
telling
force
you.
Tell ballots.
There's opposition.
It's mailed to all registered voters, the question.
And also, I don't think the city has the authority to change this. Somebody said today the governor has to approve this, number one. And secondly, is it legal for this city council to extend our term 6 months? That's another legal issue.
To the law department.
I think we have to go to an outside lawyer on this.
Oh.
Nothing against you, Joe.
Let me let me weigh in with my thoughts on this. So, Hoboken effectuated the same change in 2010.
Yes.
It was. So apparently, the state legislature passed legislation
Right.
back in 2009.
That should be
Back
done.
then, despite the criticism now, back then people were cheering for then Councilman Fulop when he called for the change in the election to move it from May to November. Folks were cheering for him across the city. The Jersey Journal endorsed it, and then more recently the Star Ledger
All
endorsed
right,
it.
Rolando, listen, vote for it, Rolando.
I intend to.
The
It's not-
consequences
it's
of
not
your future are going to be heard. Okay?
For me, the issue is,
Listen,
Candace,
Rolando.
if I could just, I want to just articulate my arguments just as you did. So, just as Candace already articulated, it is indisputable that turnout is considerably higher in November. And the same arguments about a confusing ballot were made about the Board of Education election. And you would be right, because on the first time that it was done, it was confusing. And then somebody had the sense to sit down with the clerk of the County Board of Elections, and they cleaned up the ballot and fixed it, and it's been smooth sailing ever since with great turnout. I mean, there's always a drop-off from the top of the ballot down to the bottom of the ballot, but the drop-offs were there as well for Board of Election, and yet we still see higher turnouts for the Board of Elections than we ever saw before in the election for the Board of Education. As someone who just wants to see voter participation increase, I think we should do everything we can to make it possible for more voters to participate in the process.
And this just shows you how many percent came out?
Rich, the word was November, more people come out. This was one of the worst elections this city's ever had. And you're talking about people came out for the Board of Education. There are 32,000 students in public schools, and there's probably another 18,000 in charter schools.
Have you ever
How
seen
many parents came out to vote?
the previous April election results? It was like 1,800 votes to win.
Rich,
In a city of
Rich,
250,000.
the flaw in your argument is that this year, November, there was nothing going on.
Yeah, the
Ours
county
would be,
executive.
just, okay, so you can say the county executive is a huge thing, no offense to the county executive position,
Right,
but
we
when it
got
happens on a
second reading on this, so
gubernatorial,
I don't know
hold
what's
on, I'm still talking.
Yeah.
When it happens on a gubernatorial election, hands down, look at, presidential election's gonna get the most votes in November, so on years when we have a presidential. The second most is gonna be years when we have a gubernatorial. This will move ours to the years when we have a gubernatorial. You cannot say because it is a fact that voter participation will increase. Like, may not like it, but it's still a fact.
Well, if they didn't come out to vote for the county executive, basically the school board election, and this,
If they didn't come out to vote, no offense to the county executive, but if they didn't come out for the county executive elections, I completely.
Hold on,
No,
no.
why?
Hold on, no.
It's just not the,
Speak to
doesn't get the,
speak to
doesn't have a flash
nine people in this
governor.
city.
You know what, actually, I agree with a lot of things with Councilman Rich Boggiano, and some parties I disagree. I agree with a lot of things with the candidates and every other say, and some disagree with that. But we have to understand this way, a couple of things. Voter turnout was a very important part of the election, no question about it. But actually, if you look at it, we have to look at it this way. The traditional Jersey City major council election can be 5, 6, 10 mayor candidates. We can have a maximum, how many was it? Traditional laws for mayors, how many? 10? 10 mayors?
10 people.
10 people.
12.
Yeah.
12 can be. So now it's a problem is in November. If you're 10, you get like a 10% of the voters, or 50%, you can be like the mayor. In other words, people who participate in voting, 85% don't like candidates who was the mayor of Jersey City, but can be a mayor because the majority vote. So now,
This isn't eliminating runoff.
no, mayor already said. That made me very upset. When we discussed this one first place, we said, listen, we're going to move the election to May, November, and at the time, actually, city council at that time, I asked them, how about the runoff? Nobody showed to, there was no transparency, they're not talking about any things about the runoff. They just passed the city council, put your referendum first, in the questions, put the referendum now. After election is over, mayor say that I tried to eliminate the runoff.
That's for next year's ballot, right?
That's what I'm saying
So
now.
they're two separate votes, and I'm not saying whether I agree with eliminating runoff or not. This is not eliminating the runoff.
Yes, I understand, but now, we know how the city council, how
Okay,
members.
with all due respect, you don't know.
Right, you don't know.
But now listen to me. I don't know. I don't know. But now, 85%, now listen, I agree with you, 85% people say, I don't want these to be a mayor, but because 15 majority he be mayor. Now, if we, I don't know, I cannot read their mind, but if this city council say no for runoff, then that's my case gonna be happening the way I said. If the city council said, no, we're gonna be runoff, then November, when the voter turnout really critical issue can be what is so-called freeze, and Thanksgiving, Christmas, holiday shopping.
Right.
So voter turnout will be very, very low you can be a councilman by a couple of the vote. Traditionally, maybe you need a couple of thousand, but you know, so we have some issue. But now, what I'm saying is
Summer
that
runoffs in the summer, when people are on summer vacation
no,
in June.
because
Come on,
by state law,
it's June.
in 30 days you have to do it.
Yeah, it's summer,
That's
June.
not the summer. Come
Some
on,
are
kids.
still better than freezing, snowing weather can be fair. So, you know, I wish really wanted at the time, when we discussed, February, if mayor say, listen, move to that, we limited the runoff, then maybe this council take a different actions. But actually, without full explanation and the full explanation, he just pushing out. But Council Rich Boggiano, we have to understand. We have to understand one thing is that general election, party election, but they have primary, so they don't require general election, require runoff. But City of New Jersey, our election have no primary election. That's why we set up the actual runoff, to make sure the majority vote. So now we should look at it, put your first question in the ballot, the majority people approve it, we like or not, we have to live with that, but thank God, was a non-binding, so we, actually, this council, have one more chance to decide we're gonna move or not. Is that right?
I don't know what you said.
Can you say your question again?
Yes,
No,
no. We can, if we want to not.
Just the question, but this is a non-binding referendum, was it? So still, this council can be decide.
The ordinance doesn't pass, then we don't change the election, this is a question.
Right, that's my question.
Why
Why did
not?
not join us?
He
If
said,
it
what
does
if
pass,
this
if it
ordinance
does
was
not pass.
defeated? Could this ordinance be considered again?
Right, that's what I'm
That's
saying.
what you're asking?
Yeah, if we,
It's already ordinance again.
no, if we say no, this ordinance, then we go back to election to May, or what do we have to do, because it's non-binding.
The election is still in May.
Right, not May, but I mean 2017.
No, it's currently still
Always
May
May.
2017 until we
Right,
change
that's
it.
what I'm saying. If we say no, this ordinance, what
Why is it
happens?
May?
It stays
Stays
the
May.
same.
That's what I'm saying. So I hope, still, even though we put your referendum as a question one for the move to election May to November, because there was a non-binding question was. So still this council have one more chance. The final we can make a decision to move
Yes, we
the
can
May
pat them on
to.
the head and say, we know better than the
You know,
public. Right,
so
but
we
it's-
have-
it's-
we have-
I would say that.
We have opportunity still. One more chance we have this council. We're gonna move to November or not? This is what.
So I understand, correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah.
You're saying, let's do the question again next year. The same exact
Oh,
question.
that's fine. Hands down, it'll pass, because it's gonna be a presidential. It'll pass with flying colors, because it's a presidential year.
No,
There'll be
because-
much higher turnout in
No.
November, which means it'll definitely, you'll get better.
Yes.
So, yeah, whatever, I'm fine with either one.
Okay, no new comments? Yes, let's move on. Okay,